What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Knives at the Round Table. My name is Marco, and today I have kind of a unique one for you. And so this one is the Microtech Knives collaboration with Borka Blades SBD. So the SBD is a design by Borka Blades. I think his name is Sebastian Berengi. And I think that's what it's called, the SBD, as Sebastian Berengi dagger. So this is a dagger that is done by Microtech. But I've always really liked designs by Sebastian Berengi. The stitch is another one of the designs that they do in a collaboration with Microtech. But this one is kind of one of those knives that has basically no use in my collection, right? It's a dagger. It's a kind of a combat dagger at that, and I have neither the training nor the need for something like this. This one is one of those knives that I have in my collection just for the pleasure of having it in my collection. So let me kind of give you a tour of the knife. I'm gonna call this a review, but I want to be very upfront. I am not qualified to do a review on the proper use of this knife. I can tell you that I use it very little, very rarely, because I just enjoy having it. But please note that I am not the person to tell you whether this knife is good or bad for its intended purpose. So what we have here is this is an M390 blade. I think it's noted right here. It's an M390 blade of stone washed, double-edged dagger. It's not a small cutting edge. Let me see, from the bolster, about 4.5 inches, just shy of 4.5 inches. You've got a stone washed grind here with satin, kind of hand rubbed satin flats in right in this area and along this side of where the scales just end right here. You've got a fuller with some kind of blood grooves there in the middle. You have a fairly prominent kind of sharpening choil. You have G10 overlays over the full tang construction. You have jimping kind of everywhere to kind of prevent from slipping in your hands. You've got I'm not sure what this hole is. It's not big enough for a finger. I think it's meant for kind of a lanyard or something like that. Again, I'm not the one who's qualified for to do a review of this. I just think that the look of this dagger, of this knife, is just incredible. So let me show you kind of the size. So what I usually do against in fixed blades is I compare it to a couple of fixed blades. So that's against the SC3. This is against the SC5. So it's a decently sized blade. As I've always said, I usually, when I'm camping or those kinds of things, I generally have an SC3 sized knife on my belt, and something like the SC5. Not these two knives. I usually have something else, but something like this in the camp, in my bag or something that I'm not lugging around, a 1/4 inch of steel, and something like this on my belt. So this is a very good size for me. Now, again, I don't really carry this one, but it's a fairly decent sized blade. For those of you who do not have fixed blades, here it is against the Para 3, and here it is against the Para 2. So as you can see, it's not a small blade. Okay, it's really not a small blade. I think it's deceptive in the images. At least when I see a photo, it appears that it's smaller than it actually is. So let's, I'm gonna run you through my typical kind of categories of the knife. but again, I know that my uses are not its intended purpose, so please take this more of a showcase more than a review. Okay, holding this is surprisingly comfortable. It feels my hand okay. It has the Coke bottle type of contour that you see in something like a Bark River knife. It's a very neutral handle, but you've got some jimping, so it feels secure in your hand. You don't feel like this is gonna go anywhere. So, and you've got this kind of ramps right here that kind of protect your hand, you know, if you're puncturing into something to slip onto the blade, you know. So obviously you can a variety of grips, you can do a lot of them because it's such a neutral handle. I imagine that the whole point of a dagger is to be able to hold it in a bunch of different grips. Cutting, it's very good at cutting, but I think this one is a bit dangerous for me. And it's a bit dangerous because a lot of times when you do cutting, for example, on regular fixed blades, right, you see the jimping. It's very instinctual to try and do a saber grip, right? Especially for smaller, finer tasks, it's very instinctual for you to put your thumb here. I can tell you that if you try to do that, you're gonna have a really, really, really bad day. And I've caught myself, caught myself before I actually cut myself several times, but instinctually you kind of want to go there. So just, you know, if you have one of these things, just be careful if you're thinking of using it, kind of like when you use one of these knives. I can tell you, you know, it's very it's very good at cutting. It's fun that you can cut with both sides. That's, you know, that's fun, but it's a little bit dangerous. And actually, speaking of that, it came screaming sharp out of the box, more than most of my other Microtech knives. But one of the things that you have to be careful of is with the sheath. So this is the sheath that it comes with. It's kind of a Kydex but carbon fiber-ish looking thing with kind of like a Tech-Lock style clip. So it's a nice sheath. I don't usually like Kydex, but I think in this case, for the style of thing that it is, I think it's appropriate. But the problem is withdrawing it, because it locks really nicely into place. You heard the click. And I think, but extracting it, let me show you a little bit better. So this is the SC3, and a lot of times what you do with Kydex sheath is that you put your thumb against the Kydex, push your thumb that way, and pull the knife that way. So you do that, okay? You do this, and it's a way of kind of defeating the detent, if you will, of the Kydex, right? That's how I withdraw it. And actually, a lot of knives, it's not the case with the S's. I wish I had one of my other knives, but it's a lot of them even have like melted, or Kydex, so that your thumb rests comfortable against this and you can extract it that way. Well, here the problem is that if you attempt to do that, if you attempt to put your thumb here and push, the problem is that, I'm going to simulate it, but if you do that, you can see where the blade just goes through where your finger is going to be. You don't have the benefit. You don't have the benefit of an unsharpened edge, where you go here, your finger's going to be landing on the spine of the blade. So this one, whenever I've used it, whenever I've carried it, I have had to be very deliberate on withdrawing it from the sheath and using it, just because, again, my instinct is to withdraw it from the Kydex sheath the same way I withdraw any of my other fixed blades from Kydex sheaths. And I want to use it as a fixed blade, so my thumb wants to go in the saber grip. And obviously that's a really, really bad idea. So you have to kind of be very deliberate, you have to be thinking about how you're using this. And again, maybe the people who are trained and and who actually have a use for this knife, they probably rolling their eyes and they're like, well, you're doing it wrong. Well, all I can tell you is I enjoy having this one. I don't use it very much. I think I've used it probably a handful of times, maybe 2 or 3 in the 2 years that I've had it. But I enjoy having it, and I'm just trying to, if anybody else wants to have it sort of in the same fashion that I have it, I'm just trying to tell you, be careful, because there's a lot of things that we do with our fixed blades that kind of could get you in trouble with this one. So cutting is very good. Again, the sheath, I like, I generally don't like the proprietary hardware, but I think these screws look cool in this sheath. I think the sheath is good. The lock is very good. It goes over your belt, and obviously you can modify this to do a different carry. And I don't have a lot of fit and finish is just outstanding. I think Microtech does really good stuff. I used to have a Microtech crosshair from a long time ago, and I very much regret selling that knife. It was just such a tank. But I think that Microtech, they're known for their autos. That's kind of most of their thing. Except for the kind of like the SOCOM Elite and some fixed blades. For the most part, they do OTFs and autos. But I think that the job that they do on their fixed blades, it's outstanding. I wish that they come up with more fixed blades and something a little bit more utilitarian, more in the bushcraft camping type of use. Because I've enjoyed using these knives having these knives that have basically no use for me. I think I would very much enjoy having a knife that actually has a use for me. So guys, again, this is not really a review, because I don't think that I'm qualified. The design of Sebastian Berengi and Borka blades, they're just very, very, very much, I think they're really, really cool. Some of the best in the world, and I think I just enjoy having this one quite a bit. So hopefully this has been enjoyable to you guys. Again, not a review, but more of a showcase of a very cool design, of a very cool dagger. Guys, hopefully you liked it. If you did, then like and subscribe, and until see you at the next one. Take care.